Good evening to all of you for joining the Sunday webinar of Philosophy Family. Friends, today on behalf of Philosophy Family, I extend a hearty welcome to all the students, scholars, and teachers of philosophy and, and the teachers of other disciplines to be with us on this auspicious occasion of Sunday webinar. Friends, today we have a very beautiful topic. You know, according to Plato, justice is a part of human virtue, and justice is the only remedy to save the state and to solve the different problems of the state. I do not want to reflect on the concept of state and justice according to Plato or a Platonic concept of justice. Uh, I, on behalf of philosophy family, would like to extend my greetings and regards to our speaker, Dr. M. Judge Joseph. I welcome him and I extend my greetings to Dr. M. Judge Joseph to be with us to accept our invitation to be the speaker of today's webinar. And Dr. M. Judge Joseph, the speaker of today's webinar, is the Associate Professor of Philosophy of Arul Anandar College, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. And Professor Joseph has more than 30 years of teaching experience in postgraduate levels. He has more than 3 or 4 uh, book publication. He is associated with many projects, workshops, seminars throughout his academic journey for about 30 years in postgraduate teaching. And Professor Joseph has been associated with different administrative assignments. He has organized many national and state level conferences, workshops, and projects. He has been associated with different projects of UGC. He has published a good number of articles and research papers in different national and international journals. Professor Joseph has been to different different countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Italy for academic purposes, and he has delivered his academic output on different fundamental problems of philosophy that I don't want to explore all the things. So today we are very happy that we have got a brilliant and stalwart teacher of philosophy like Professor Joseph with us, and I extend my gratitude to the uh, professor who has connected him to the with the philosophy family. And today, I extend my gratitude to Professor Dr. Pramod Kumar Das to connect him with philosophy family for the first time. Today, he will share his wisdom with all of us. And Platonic concept of justice is a very good topic for all of us, for the students and for the teachers. And Plato has contributed a lot of we are uh, we are having our knowledge from it. So today, once again, I extend my welcome to all the professors to be with us. I extend my welcome to Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, the real architect of philosophy family, the host, and the convener philosophy family, I extend my welcome to Dr. K. Omnan Rao. But I think Dr. K. Omnan Rao is not with us today because he is engaged as presiding officer in in a in an election booth. So today he may not be available today, but he will be connected with this webinar. So once again, I extend my welcome to all of you to be part of philosophy family and to be part of the academic discussion which will be delivered by Professor Joseph. So I welcome everybody and I request Dr. M. Judge Joseph to commence his lecture, to commence his talk on critique of Platonic concept justice. Over to Pranam and over to Professor Joseph. Over to Professor Joseph.
Dear members of the philosophy family and fellow enthusiasts of philosophical discourse, I think I am audible.
Yes, sir, audible, audible.
I have shared the discussion. I think that also is visible.
Yeah, visible, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
visible. Yes.
sir. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I extend a warm welcome to all of you to this presentation, and I express my gratitude to Mr. Srinivasan Krishnamurthy for introducing me to this esteemed community, as well as to organizers, especially the present moderator, Dr. Kailash Chandra Mohar Rana, and convener, Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, allowing me to present in this seminar. Today I am also extremely happy to see some of my old students present in this meeting. And I am extremely happy to welcome my very old friend, Dr. Appan Ramanujan, for this seminar. I welcome all of you once again, and I am just starting with our presentation, Critique of Platonic Concept of Justice and its Contemporary Implications. As I am assigned with teaching the Republic as a classical text for postgraduate students in the upcoming academic year, I found it fitting to explore a pivotal theme from this work. Thus, I have titled my presentation, Critique of Platonic Concept of Justice and its Contemporary Implications. My paper is structured into three main sections. First section is concerned with the concept of justice according to Plato, the context of Plato considering about justice, then the opponent's view, and finally how through the mouth of Socrates, Plato evolves the concept of justice. That is consists of the first section. Second session is concerned with justice through social stratification and through education. And the third one, difference from the modern concept of justice and Platonic responses to liberal democracy and liberal economy. If I am asked to summarize Platonic concept of justice, I may describe it as the cultivation of harmonious individuals and the establishment of a well-ordered state. What then are the implications of nurturing balanced citizens and constructing an ordered society or an ideal just state? We are familiar with the aphorism, Yadha Raja Tatha Praja, meaning as the king, so the people. However, Plato perceives it conversely, arguing that the quality of citizens determines the worthiness of the state. Nonetheless, the question arises, if there is no structured and balanced state, who will mold the individual citizens? The context we shall deal, immoral citizens and disordered city-state. Plato's concept of justice, as elucidated in his dialogue, The Republic, serves as a critique of political milieu of his era, notably highlighting the deficiencies of Athenian democracy and the moral erosion within Athenian society. Following the Persian War, Athens underwent a significant transformation, repurposing its naval forces into a merchant fleet and amassing considerable wealth. This newfound prosperity shot Athens into a hub of economic activity and intellectual pursuit, solidifying its status as an open society. However, alongside these advancements came the deceptive influence of corruption. The growing market-driven economy commercialized philosophy and education, which were conventionally the affairs of selfless vagabonds expecting nothing special in return. No longer the domain of selfless seekers, these pursuits became commodified, with sophists emerging as prominent figures offering instruction in rhetoric and persuasion for a fee, primarily catering to the affluent elite who sought public careers within the democratic administration of personal gain in the marketplace. Mercantile elites disrupted oligarchic power structures and established democracy, which Plato experienced as the misuse of power for personal gain by manipulating the sentiments of the majority. Democracy, he argued, allowed untrained and unprepared ambitious individuals to gain power and indulge in luxury, neglecting the common good. The teachings of the Sophists propagated relativistic ideologies, contending that truth and morality were subjective constructs or social conventions often conveniently dictated by the powerful. This erosion of objective truth and moral virtue led to moral decay within Athenian society. Plato observed unprecedented societal shifts in Athens, contrasting with other city-states which were continued as agricultural societies with old conventions and customary ethos. Compared to Athenian open society, other city-states remained relatively calm and provided clannish security. Plato inquired whether can there be a peaceful and ordered open society with a greater degree of permanent social and political structures that are rather guided by reason than emotion or sentiments. In the Republic, Plato presents a scathing critique of democracy, arguing that it leads to the rule of passionate desires and self-interest rather than the pursuit of justice and the common good. He saw Athenian democracy as inherently unstable and susceptible to demagogy and the tyranny of the majority. Socrates, the most venerable and the wisest of all, as proclaimed by Delphi oracle, was convicted to death through manipulated judgment by the leaders with self-interest, by a relatively slim majority, by a democratic court. How can the rightness and wrongness be judged by a majority vote? Plato identified moral decay and relativism as key factors in democracy's failure, emphasizing the necessity of moral virtue for societal integrity and the formation of citizens. He challenged the sophist moral relativism, advocating for objective truths and universal principles upheld by philosophy. He defended philosophy as a discipline concerned with the pursuit of truth and the cultivation of moral excellence rather than mere rhetorical persuasion or self-interest. He suggests that democracy fails to produce wise and virtuous leaders capable of governing society effectively. Plato proposes the concept of philosopher kings as rulers in his ideal society, contrasting them with the politicians of his time. He emphasized the importance of justice, wisdom, and virtue for the preservation of a just and harmonious society, cautioning against prioritizing personal gain over the common welfare. Justice according to open society or opponent's view. Open society is a term I have borrowed from Karl Popper's Open Society and Its Enemies. Actually, Karl Popper sees Plato as an enemy of open society. In his dialogues, Plato portrays Socrates engaging with the sophists and challenging the assumption of his interlocutors in the pursuit of objective and universal truth. Socrates often pretended that he did not understand concepts clearly and posed questions to teachers who claimed to be knowledgeable. This method led to the self-proclaimed teachers overcoming fallacies in their arguments and gaining clarity in their thoughts. In the Republic, Socrates engages first with Cephalus, an elderly and wealthy man who defines justice as honesty and the fulfillment of one's obligations, particularly in terms of repaying debts and returning what is owed. Socrates argues that justice should not simply be about following rules or fulfilling agreements, but should involve a deeper understanding of what is truly and morally just and beneficial for individuals and society. Next, he debates in the book 1, he debates with Polemarchus. Polemarchus, Cephalus' son, expands on his father's definition by arguing that justice involves helping friends and harming enemies. Socrates suggests that true justice cannot involve harming anyone, even enemies, and that justice should be based on principles of fairness and impartiality rather than favoritism and retribution. Thrasymachus, a sophist, presents a cynical and controversial view of justice as the advantage of the stronger. He argues that justice is merely a tool used by the ruling elite to maintain their power and exploit weaker members of society. According to Thrasymachus, justice serves the interests of those in power rather than being an inherent moral principle. He vehemently proposes that might is right and justice is the interest of the stronger. The subordinate citizens must follow the commands of the rulers and as just, meaning good and bad or right and wrong are not subjective but defined and determined by the strong or wealthy. This discretion of the powerful becomes the rule for all, but only to the advantage of the powerful. This argument parallels Marx's later critique of the capitalist state as serving the upper class. Socrates challenges the Thrasymachus' definition by questioning the nature of government and the relationship between justice and power. He argues that true justice cannot be based on the arbitrary whims of the powerful, but must be grounded in moral principles that apply equally to all members of society. Finally, he argues with Glaucon. Glaucon suggests that most people are only just because they fear punishment or desire the reputation of being just rather than genuinely value justice for its own sake. This challenge prompts Socrates to explore the internal virtues and intrinsic value of justice. Socrates responds to Glaucon's challenge by embarking on a more detailed exploration of the nature of justice, arguing that justice is inherently valuable, not merely as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. He ultimately develops his own conception of justice as internal virtue rooted in the harmony of the soul and the pursuit of the highest good and well-being, characterized by inner peace, integrity, and wisdom. This state of inner justice is inherently desirable and conducive to human flourishing regardless of external rewards or punishment. Exploration of the concept of justice. Now, the various definitions, various interpretations of the seeing justice, moral, intrinsic, then seeking eudaimonia or the happiness, like that one by one it comes. In the Republic, Plato explores the concept of transcendent forms or ideals such as the form of the good. He posits that all concepts, things, and events that we experience have their perfect existence in these transcendent forms, representing their objective standards. By positing the existence of these forms beyond the realm of worldly things and practices, Plato suggests that the true essence of all things lies in their transcendent forms, which represent perfect and immutable standards. Therefore, the essence of truth or reality is not subject to subjective feelings or opinions, but exists independently of our sensory experiences or perceptions. The forms are eternal and unchanging, providing a stable and objective foundation for knowledge and reality. According to Plato, all individuals participate in the forms, but the way they reflect these forms varies, accounting to unique balance of elements within their souls and the influence of their education and environment. While everyone shares the same ultimate purpose of achieving the good, the paths they take and the roles they fulfill can be quite different. Now, in this passage, we deal with the metaphysical background and we dealt with its metaphysical background and why the variation is there in the copies or in these worldly things or even in our choices that is discussed. Now we are moving to the next section that is with the harmony of the soul. Plato presents the idea that a just person is one whose soul is in harmony. He introduced the concept of tripartite soul, divided into reason, spirit, and appetite. Justice involves each part of the soul performing its proper function in accordance with the reason, governing over the spirited and appetitive elements. When the soul is just, it experiences inner balance, integrity, and psychic well being. When the soul is just, it experiences inner balance, integrity, and psychic well being. Justice prevents internal conflict and disharmony within the soul, allowing individuals to pursue wisdom, courage, and temperance. It ensures that each virtue is exercised in its proper context and to its appropriate extent, preventing excess or deficiency. Wisdom guides the rational pursuit of knowledge and truth. Courage enables the spirited element to defend what is just and noble, and temperance moderates the desires and appetites. Wisdom guides the rational pursuit of knowledge and truth, the choice we make. Courage enables the spirited element to defend what is just and noble. The temperance moderates or self-control moderates the desires and appetites. Justice is a fundamental virtue that enables individuals to live in harmony with themselves and with others. Without justice, the soul becomes fragmented and disordered, leading to moral confusion and inner turmoil. Thus, harmony or order is equated with justice because justice maintains the balance and proper functioning of the soul's parts, facilitating a harmonious and virtuous life. Plato's conception of justice involves both an internal aspect, where justice resides within the individual soul and influences behavior and character, and a transcendent aspect, where justice participates in the realm of the forms as a perfect and eternal archetype. While the form of justice exists beyond the individual, individuals can strive to stand and embody justice through reason and philosophical inquiry. Justice is the virtue of the soul and injustice the vice. Plato claims that justice is intrinsically linked to the good and that just persons seek to align themselves with this transcendent ideal. There exists a form of justice which embodies the perfect and unchanging essence of justice itself. This form of justice is intrinsically linked to the form of the good, deriving its virtue and meaning from its participation in the realm of the good. Justice is inherently good because it aligns with the nature of the good. Justice involves the pursuit of truth, harmony, and the common good, which are reflective in the qualities of the good. Just actions are those that promote the well being of individuals and society, uphold moral principles, and contribute to the realization of the good. In this sense, justice is not merely a social or legal construct, but a moral imperative grounded in the pursuit of the highest good. Justice as a moral virtue guides the individual to eudaimonia, a Greek term often translated as happiness or flourishing, which is the highest good. It enables individuals to realize their full potential and to experience a sense of flourishing and well-being. The internal harmony is crucial for achieving eudaimonia because it allows individuals to live in accordance with their rational nature and to fulfill their inherent potential. By cultivating virtues such as wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice within the soul, individuals can experience a sense of inner fulfillment and well-being grounded in the pursuit of highest good. From internal to external, Plato believes that a society can only be just if its citizens are just. Justice begins at individual level, harmonizing one into a balanced person. Harmony within the person serves as the foundation of a just city state. The rulers govern with wisdom and justice, ensuring that the just city functions in accordance with the principles of justice and the common good. Justice at the societal level is understood as maintaining social order, stability, and cooperation within society at large. By establishing a just social order, society as a whole can experience eudaimonia. A just society is one where each individual maintains harmony within and contributes to the common good. It creates a favorable condition for everyone to flourish and thrive. His understanding of justice suggests that its ultimate end is to attain happiness through the establishment of human balance and social order. The just man will not differ at all from the just city in respect of the form of justice. Rather, he will be like the city. A just person not only acts in accordance with the moral principles, but also contributes to the overall harmony and well-being of the of society. Now, I think before we enter into the next section, that is concept of justice according to, justice through social stratification and education. I would like to request to the organizers, whether we can have a discussion or some kind of sharing by the participants and then proceed to the next, so that
I think after the completion of the talk, then we'll discuss.
discuss. Okay, sir. Then I think we shall continue. I shall just continue with it. I think I have again shared it. It has reached you. Justice through social stratification or social classes. Justice in the public domain is a macrocosmic expression of the internal harmony achieved through collective planning of rationally guided and balanced individual souls. Citizens collectively work for the common good of the city-state through centralized planning and execution guided by the ideal form of good, fulfilling their specific roles suited to their natural abilities and talents, thereby contributing to the social harmony. Identifying the right person for the right to work is an important task of the rulers. Education system and integration of the soul. Plato's education system aims to achieve a harmonious integration of the different elements of the soul, reason, spirit, and appetite through the cultivation of virtue and the pursuit of various kinds of knowledge and skills. By educating individuals to harmonize their desires with the dictates of reason and to govern themselves virtuously, Plato seeks to create a society characterized by inner harmony and social cohesion. This integration of the soul is essential for individuals to contribute positively to the functioning of ideal state. Education in Plato's society is not merely about imparting knowledge or skills, but also about instilling moral character and fostering a love of wisdom. The pedagogy focuses on the development of the whole person, emphasizing a graded program that begins with gymnastics and music, progresses through philosophy and mathematics, and culminates in the pursuit of wisdom through proper internship. Primary education is universal, while higher education is based on an individual's ability to acquire advanced knowledge. Hierarchy of classes. Through this educational process, the state identifies and trains philosopher rulers with critical thinking, self-reflection, and ethical conduct. These philosopher kings are selected from the most intellectually gifted and morally virtuous members of society. They undergo rigorous education and training to develop their capacities for wisdom, justice, and leadership. By ensuring that the rulers of the state are philosopher kings, Plato aims to create a government guided by reason and virtue rather than self-interest or ambition. In Plato's ideal state, below the philosopher kings is the guardian class. Guardians are responsible for defending the state and maintaining justice and other virtues. They undergo comprehensive education, including physical training, intellectual study, and moral instruction to cultivate virtues such as courage, temperance, and loyalty to the state. Below the guardians are the producers who fulfill roles related to daily needs such as agriculture, manufacture, and mercantile activities. These individuals are identified through preliminary education and universal entrance tests. Those who show no aptitude for higher learning are chosen for roles according to their ability that support their daily functions of society. In a just society, each individual performs their proper function according to their abilities and aptitudes, contributing to the overall balance and well-being of the community. Plato sees a close connection between knowledge and virtue, with the former leading to the latter. He argues that ignorance is the root cause of injustice, while knowledge of the forms leads to the cultivation of virtue and the harmonious ordering of the soul. Unlike the self-serving and ambitious politicians of Athens, philosopher kings are guided by wisdom, reason, and a deep commitment to the common good. Plato's critique can be interpreted as a condemnation of the ineptitude and moral deficiencies of Athenian political leadership. The newly emerged merchants of Athens bought power with their wealth, ruled the city-state, and promoted their interest, neglecting the common good and the well-being of citizens. Wealth and power brought social status and indulgence in pleasures, destabilizing the role and purpose of public office. Social stratification and justice. Each of our citizens, just as one man, will similarly have his own work and not interfere with that of another. Right man in the right place is the social placing of the persons according to Plato. Merchants who were not trained to manage public affairs gained public office through their wealth and ambition, causing the decay of society. Socrates addresses the dangers of a society divided along the lines of the rich and the poor. He criticizes Thrasymachus' argument that justice is the interest of the stronger and that is promulgated by the rulers and that to be obeyed by all others. He highlights the dangers of concentration of wealth and power in the hands of rulers, which endangers social cohesion and common good. For indeed, any city, however small, is in fact divided into two. One, the city of the poor, the other of the rich. These are at war with one another, and in either there are many smaller divisions, and you would be along altogether beside the mark if you treated them as all as a single state. Divided society has no universal value system. As Nietzsche described, master has one type of morality and slave has another type. Class-based morality is not something that we ought to seek, but the outcome of the accumulative tendency of an ambitious few. We are entering to the next section. That is actually the last session. Difference from the modern concept of justice. Modern conceptions of justice often emphasize the role of legal systems and social institutions in ensuring fairness and equality. These modern notions prioritize the protection of individual rights and liberties such as freedom of speech, expression and association, etc., which are considered essential for a just society. Justice is seen as primarily achieved through laws, regulations, and the functioning of the governmental and judicial bodies. Consequently, justice demands that the state and its constitution, along with other governing institutions, facilitate and ensure equal opportunities for all. This includes providing prioritized support systems and necessary steps to uplift the weakest members of society, ensuring they achieve equal status with others. In contrast, Plato's understanding of justice focuses on internal virtues and moral character of individuals rather than external institutions. While concerned with individual virtue, Plato emphasizes the individual's role or duty within the broader social and political community. His conception of justice involves a hierarchical society where individuals are assigned roles and responsibilities based on their abilities and aptitudes, with philosopher kings at the top ruling over the rest of society. Plato derives the ideal form of justice from transcendent source called the form of the good, rather than from worldly or secular basis. He believes that justice is achievable in the world only through social regulations streamlined by rigorous process of education and scrutiny. Thus, in Plato's view, justice is the outcome of a regulated society grounded in the internal harmony and moral development of its citizens. Implications of a Platonic concept of justice in a liberal democracy as well as in a liberal economy. Plato's philosophy emphasized the cultivation of virtue and wisdom as essential for the well-being of society. If Plato were alive today, he might criticize liberal democratic economies for their emphasis on individualism, which often comes at the expense of the common good. He could argue that the individual pursuit of wealth and the promotion of self-interest often lead to inequality, social division, and the neglect of community needs. Plato's vision of an ideal society includes elements of communal ownership and shared responsibility, and he might see socialist policies as reflecting these ideals. His philosophy underscores the importance of common good and collective harmony within society. Plato might advocate for common ownership of resources to ensure greater equality and social cohesion. He could view policies that prioritize universal education, health care, and social welfare as contributing to the moral and intellectual development of citizens. However, Plato might argue that socialist policies should not only address material needs but also foster the virtues of justice, temperance, and wisdom among citizens. He expressed concerns about the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of wealthy elite, which could corrupt the political process and undermine social stability. Liberal democracies and economies often focus on short-term profits and electoral success rather than long-term planning and the pursuit of enduring values. Plato might oppose liberal democratic economies for prioritizing individual freedoms to the determinant of social cohesion and justice. His ideal society is characterized by the prevention of corruption, nepotism, and the concentration of wealth. His philosophy emphasized the pursuit of the good and the cultivation of virtue, contrasting with the liberal economies that often prioritize consumerism and hedonistic pursuits. He might argue that such economies promote a culture of excess and indulgence, undermining the development of moral character and the common good. Plato's political philosophy contains seminal elements of communism. His reflections on common wives and children for the guardian class to avoid inheritance and nepotism had been widely used to tarnish the modern communism by its opponents during its origin. His policies of state-sponsored universal education, gender equality, common property, collective production, and common usage align with the values of modern communism. Plato was wary of democratic tendencies towards the tyranny of the majority as exemplified by the conviction of Socrates based on popular sentiment. Simultaneously, he was cautious of socialist regimes that concentrate too much power in the hands of a centralized government. He suggested measures to prevent the governing class from falling into totalitarian and dictatorial regimes. Plato might advocate for a democratic socialist model that prioritizes a stable state built on contributions of all, governed by morally upright and intelligent executives who lead simple lives and hold no personal wealth. He proposed separating wealth from power to achieve real decentralization. While his original concept of justice emphasized duty and individuals' obligations to the state and each other, he might acknowledge that individuals also have inherent rights that should be protected. Plato might argue that these rights derive from principles of justice and are essential for safeguarding individuals' autonomy, dignity, and well-being. True justice involves a reciprocal relationship between rights and responsibilities. Virtuous citizens are those who not only fulfill their duties and obligations, but also advocate for the rights of others and work towards creating a more just and equitable society. Thank you for a patient hearing. Thank you very much. Now over to the moderator.
Okay, okay. Thanks so much, Professor Joseph, for your reflective talk on the concept of Platonic justice, the critical Platonic concept of justice. It is really very clear and very comprehensive that allows no room for confusion. And your talk is very much analytical to comprehend the stand of Plato on state justice, ideal forms of justice, ideal society, ideal ruler, or the philosopher king, everything. Indeed, it is that this talk clarifies the concept of justice. Justice as social stratification and education. It also that is it is also very clear when you were discussing the implication of justice, the Platonic concept that is and it's a modern concept that is um, uh, to solve all kinds of problems of society and its standpoint on liberal democratic economy. Really, it is a very good topic, and yeah, and I extend my congratulations to you for giving a very beautiful and comprehensive and clear talk that is in our forum. So I would like to request Professor Dr. Pramod Kumar Das to moderate the session, the question and answer session. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Okay, Dr. Das.
Thank you, sir. Really, it is a very clear presentation. We are all happy. I shall have my observation later. So now I request Dr. Ranjit Ghosh, sir, for uh, for his observation and comments, questions, queries. Ranjit, sir. Over to Ranjit, sir. Hello. Acha. Okay. He has left. Now I request Srinivasan ji, Professor Srinivasan ji, who has introduced. Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Uh, First of all, my sincere thanks to the admin and the philosophy family, and also the august members of this forum. And I'm grateful to Professor Dr. George Joseph for having presented a very neat and crisp topic on Plato. It is indeed something really, I mean, very interesting. Speaking about the concept of his social harmony or anything about Plato, in my view, I think perhaps it's only my perception that Plato was a very diabolic and, what should I say, uh, understanding character. But he was speaking about his philosophy only during his lifetime that was existing at that point of time. So that is not valid in the present scenario, as Joseph was just highlighting that if he were alive, he would not have, agreed for the liberalism of individuals or anything like that. Is something I am unable to understand. But he stepped on elitism and authoritarianism. And his idea of Plato, his idea of the philosopher king, wise and knowledgeable in the society can be seen as elitist and undemocratic, because nowadays, in the changing scenario, everybody is intelligent, everybody is highly talented. So it doesn't hold good about the Plato's idea of the philosopher king, and also his noble life. The rulers maintain a social harmony is seen as the paternalistic and very deceptive. Again, I don't agree with that, because as the topic is about the critic, I would like to say my critical analysis about Plato and his rigid class system, which is perhaps Dr. Joseph has not mentioned about it or indicated the three classes, like the auxiliaries, the producers, and the rulers. Its rigidity and lack of social mobility is something to be, really discussed, not in good, way of understanding his ideologies. And justice as harmony is also another aspect which I would like to, say anything about it, but then because so many others are just waiting, I would like to have Dr. Joseph's view on about my, clarification, which I thought. And thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity given.
Now over to Professor Joseph. Sir, please have your response.
So your voice is not audible.
Sir, can I respond
Yes,
to?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have your response.
Now I think I shall start from the last question he raised. That is, I am not sufficiently critical against Plato. It means most of the things presented is Plato as it is. When I actually planned a critique, a kind of an analysis of Plato, I was aiming at. But in certain dimensions, I felt that Plato's criticism of democracy is to be considered even in today's what's called situation. That is, one thing is money, power, and status is centralized in the hands of a few. If money, power, and status comes into the hands of one group or one people, then there is naturally democracy is not possible, because people are not, or majority will not have the power. Even to the people, recent political thinkers like Mill or Isaiah Berlin or even Amartya Sen, when they refers about democracy, they speak more of Platonian provisions that are to be made in society than they say that Mill's concept of, or even the first or the beginning of the liberal democracy, saying, as he has, Srinivasa sir has mentioned, that is, by nature man is rational, by nature man has got the ability. These two things says that because of these things only, man should be given freedom. The demand came from the liberal politicians, stating that let there be less state. And now, even today, we are asking for more state. You come and do this, that, like that, more state comes. That way, if we don't have benevolent rulers, even if democratic heads, if they are centralizing wealth, power, and status in their hand, greater inequality will be there in society, which is invisible as it is present. But in a dictatorial setup, it may be visible. That is, there is a huge gap. Now it is said that power is with us, but that democracy is not existing. And that way, I actually in the beginning I had certain things to raise against Plato, but in the process of writing, I became a kind of an admirer of Plato than a critic. That is there in the process of study. It has happened. And again, let me say, earlier, actually, by teaching a history of Western philosophy or political philosophy, I might have entered into certain elements of Plato. But what's called now, when I am asked to take Republic, actually, I started to read the way, step by step, through the mouth of Socrates, each conclusions he derived. I found that I am not able to stand or against that kind of might that is present in the Republic. I think this is the way I can just answer to Srinivas.
Thank you. But to bring social equality, what is the way out, sir, please?
Two things we have to think. One is of his time and the present time. Actually, present time, social equality suggestions, if I bring, actually, UN has come out with sustainable developmental goals, 17 sustainable developmental goals. If world nations and the nations plan out what's called these sustainable developmental goals, I think naturally the freedom comes to the people. Actually, I am not going to details, but actually we have got good projects, and even many political thinkers are coming out with. But I think there are only a few, or it is not the voice of the UN in this respect is not heard very much. Hope that it will be heard, and I think all of us have to support such kinds of move.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Uh, Actually, sir, I shall try. Actually, one of the cardinal virtues is justice. One of the cardinal virtues, and justice is intrinsic. That is what's called. It is actually moral value. And now, what is actually the goal of justice? It is happiness. What is the highest good? It is happiness. Whether it is to be legalized, this is the thing I think. uh, Plato, I think I am not very sure of whether in the Republic he is coming out a legal condition, but one thing we have to consider, even when he is not a relativist, he is a universalist, he is not giving criteria, say that this is justice, or clear cut say that these are the criteria for justice, or these are the criteria for state. And from that, what I have understood is justice is depending on the context as well, but it should be guided by reason. The five what's called, we are in actually we are in the we are actually teleologically towards the form, and form is our ideal thing, but at the same time we are contingent, we are worldly, at a worldly context, and our persuasion towards the ideal form. Between that, when we function, our what's called the discretion or the wisdom, our who are the dialectical reasoning, whose dialectical reasoning work in that way. What I am just trying to say was that we cannot, or Plato, whether he is giving legal conditions, but certain structures he make. What are the structures? For example, philosopher kings, the quality of a philosopher king, quality of guardian class, and that way he anticipates the problem where the power may corrupt, and to avoid the corruption of power, he makes certain structures, and that way, to an extent, we can say certain structural arrangement from his in his context he has made. I think I am bit satisfying to Dr. Arlopan or to the audience. He has given the response stating that he is all right, that he has given in the comments.
Who wants to ask any question? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir. Please, sir. Please have your response. Dr. M. Orlapan, sir. Please, you are raising your hand. Please have your response, sir. Yes, you unmute yourself and speak.
I think Professor Appan Ramanujan.
Yes. Appan Ramanujan, sir. Please have your response, sir. Sir, unmute yourself. Sir, you are mute. Please unmute, sir. You are not audible.
Sir, open your microphone, sir. Open your microphone, then speak.
Appan Ramanujan, sir, your microphone, you are in mute. Please unmute.
Now, am I audible now?
Yes,
You are
yes,
audible.
yes,
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Am I audible now?
yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir, audible and visible.
Okay, thank you, Professor Joseph, for your excellent presentation of Plato's views on justice. I have one or two observations about your paper. You have mentioned in your paper that Plato was an enemy of open society, according to Karl Popper. Karl Popper not only mentions about Plato as enemy of open society, he includes Hegel and Karl Marx also as enemies of open society. How do you compare Plato with Hegel and Karl Marx, and how you interpret these three individuals as enemies of open society? That is one observation. Then, stratification of society based on nature of the soul, that is wisdom, courage, and temperance, you mentioned. These are the virtues cardinal virtues which determine one's status in the society: wisdom, courage, and temperance. But how do you compare this with Varnashrama Dharma in the Indian context? Do you find any similarities? Because even in Indian context, some people justify the stratification of society: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. But there are a lot of criticism about the stratification of society in the Indian context. Do you justify stratification of society by Plato? And Plato justifies even slavery. I want to know your opinion about this. Then one more observation is justice is of two kinds: distributive justice and corrective justice. Does Plato mention about corrective justice in his views on justice? You say that for the welfare of the state, different roles are there, and each according to his nature takes up the role. The philosopher king, then other groups of individuals in the society, based on their nature, they get their role in the society, what function they have in the society for the welfare of the state. So he makes the welfare of the state as the ultimate goal, and this stratification of the society is the means to achieve this goal. Do you find any comparison between Plato's justification of society and Indian Varnashrama Dharma? Then, corrective justice, in the Indian context, they say even if a Brahmana commits murder, he should not be given death sentence. Whereas other Sudras and other people, if they commit murder, they should be punished. So, as far as the corrective justice is concerned, what Plato says, is there any disparity as you find in the Indian context? That is what I want to ask Professor Joseph.
Thank you, Dr. Apan Ramanujan. Three areas you have brought on to. One thing is that why what's called Karl Popper criticizes or equates Plato, Hegel, and Marx as the enemies of open society. When
Yes.
Karl Popper looks at open society, he means a non-clannish society is open society, or individual freedom. What's called actually the European Enlightenment thought that is coming through the Karl Popper's mind, that is let the maximum freedom be achieved. That is the concept. If that is the thing, in Plato, in Hegel, and in Marx, a social organization is there for equality, or social structuration is there. Those who believe in that people have got power to independently and individually do things, choice things, but facilitating should be done, and that facilitating role is assigning to the state with the participation of all from their ability and with their ability and aptitude. And that's why I think Karl Popper is equating all the three. That means social structuration or more state comes into the controlling of individuals or individual liberty. And that way I think Karl Popper is considering all these are clannish society. It is a, that means it is not open to other societies, treating the other what's called group as an enemy, and that is not necessary. Open society is open within and open outside. That kind of a treatment Karl Popper I think is making. I have read Open Society and Enemies very long back, and from that background I am just saying, but all have got state structuration or organizing priorities there. That may be one open society, why that is done. Then I think in many areas we can see Indian social classification and and that what's called occupational division is made, and that occupational division is substantiated and approved and accepted by or and sanctioned by custom and religion. That way it was a practice. But when Plato envisages society, he is planning the occupational division. Not only he plans the occupational division, and he is anticipating the difficulty of an occupational division, and therefore he take precaution that it should not on the basis of inheritance. There should not be a permanent Brahmin. There should Shudra. There what is called social stratification because you are asking another question regarding slave. Plato deals only with the citizens. Slaves are not considered within the borders of a city-state. Not only Plato, all the ancient thinkers consider slaves separate from citizens, or that social discrimination is a part of Greek Roman part where slavery is systematized through war and other things, and that way of others only made slaves, not of its own people. Then what's that among the what's called the social stratification occupational division, what's called Plato is preventing the possibility of inheritance by through the method of education. Children are to be taken to school at the age of, I think it's 5, to avoid the adulteration by parents. This is the way I think Plato deals. If they are with the children are with the parents, they may be manipulated or their history may be narrated, and therefore they may follow their convention. Now, to avoid that, education comes for the process of scrutiny, and the children does not know, or children is not associating with their parents, and the convention on the customs are not influencing them. This is the way Plato is preventing the possibility of inheritance. Then I think the last question was the corrective justice. Actually, Platonian concept of justice compared to the present day justice is, if I categorically make, Plato's is the responsibility based or the duty based justice. On the contrary, now we are speaking more of right based justice. Now, corrective measure, I think I have it, my reading, I am not very sure to say in any part of the Republic whether he is dealing with if aberration takes place, deviation takes place, what kinds of correction is to be done to establish justice. But he anticipates it. For example, philosopher king should not have even what's called barred house. They should live a simple life like that. Makes I think if I think to an extent this is the way I may be able to answer. Apandaj, sir, how about am I my answers are satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You have rightly pointed out that there is no kind of inheritance. In the case of role, the Greek citizens getting in the society, whereas in the Indian context, based on birth only one gets status. You have rightly pointed out the difference. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My question to Aparanjan sir, do you think that in India legal system is going on the caste on the basis of caste system? Suppose a Brahmin is committing a murder, he is not acquitted with the punishment. Do you think so, sir?
No, the traditional view I am telling. I don't know about the present constitutional procedure. May
No,
be different.
this is a very clear cut
Constitution
legalist.
doesn't distinguish. I don't think so.
Everyone is.
But according to the traditional interpretation of Varnashrama Dharma, they say a Brahmana, even if he commits a serious crime, he should not be given death sentence. Is there system like this or not? I am not sure, but I have heard and I have read about this. I want more clarification on this.
No, no,
The, the present
that is not
system,
that
we
is
are
not
bound
the.
by the Indian Constitution. The Constitution is very clear about imparting justice, whether distributive justice or corrective justice. But traditional interpretation of Varnashrama Dharma says there is discrimination in rendering justice, even in the corrective justice. There is
Yes.
vast differences between how
That
we have to
means.
see.
Yes.
Even today, how many criminals are there in the jails? You take the number of criminals, mostly Dalits are there. I don't want to go into the detail and all these things. Based on this, I made some observation.
You
Thank you.
see, no, yes, yes. You are pointing to the traditional, the old practice, old thought about the Banasama, but that is not the legal system of India. When we are talking about a country, when we are talking about the constitution of a country, we are very much aware of the legal system, law for all, justice for all. Therefore, Platonic form of justice is more important in that sense because it is a form. The form is common for all. It is universal. That happens also in India. The difference is when we take justice politically, legally, through arguments, then what happens? Suppose you are really a murderer, but you may not be punished only because of the arguments. That is not the Platonic justice. Here through legal provisions or through arguments, you may be released. You may not be punished. That is separate thing. But if a Brahmin is committing a mistake and a Dalit is committing a mistake, both are mistakes and both are equally treated before the law. Other factors may work, whether somebody has no money to accommodate to accommodate an advocate to fight for him. That is a bad thing. Sometimes that because of the lack of evidence, a murderer may not be punished. Such things are taking place in the court of law. So what happens in India, we are taking excuses, we are taking many types of benefits because of the provision of law itself. So it is not Platonic justice. Platonic justice is universal, it is formal, it is a virtue, it is spiritual in the sense because it is directly connected with the transformation of the soul. So in that way, and at that time, it was the conception of a person. But so this is the difference. So we should not have misconception about the social stratification regarding Brahmin and non-Brahmins, because before law all are same. But I am not satisfied for one thing about Plato's philosophy. Is slavery legalized? My question to Professor Joseph: is slavery legalized? Can you legalize slavery system?
Like is actually certain conventions exist and what's called the great thinkers didn't take it as an inequality because they are not considered, I think, in the Greek tradition, slaves are not considered as human beings. And human beings, they can, because it is actually Greek society means it's a kind of a clannish society. One type of people living together, and it is not a multicultural society. And that way, if we go deeper into such kinds of analysis, from the modern perspectives, I think Plato can be questioned for accepting slavery. But if I take events that many religions originated in that area or of that time, approves slavery. The reason is not because they are not actually questioning the political or social system as such, but they are what's called working on the within the their domain, not the outside domain. I think from the modern perspectives, I think we are definitely Plato should have claimed that equality of the slaves. Another thing, I think, as a a teacher of political philosophy, one thing I can say: no society exists without the slavery. Even today, we even we say an open society, some form of slavery, without mentioning slavery, we are maintaining. Otherwise, we cannot give comfort and luxury for some others. And that way, I think a society to continue, they may have, then they may require slavery. And that way may be the reason they approve it in such a society.
Yes, but Plato should raise his voice against this system so far as his social, so far as his view of justice is concerned, is so ideal, so high standard. So the slavery system appears to be contrary to his view of justice. Anyway, my second query, sir, then I shall go to Professor Javier. What was about women in Plato's justice?
I didn't get the question, sir.
What was the view about women in justice according to Plato? What was the status of women in legal system? Hello?
I think
Omen.
OMEN.
WOMEN,
Women,
Omen.
women, 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 sir, women.
Women.
Women. Actually, Plato treats women as equals because women, there is no distinction in the entry to the education, and women can even become philosopher kings. And that part, I think, women he has given equal rights or equal level to men. That Plato is, I think, is very just in that sense.
But they will not be educated.
They will not,
But they will not be educated.
no, they will be educated. Education is universal. Women can enter into primary education, and they can even become guardians or philosopher kings.
Thank you. So now,
Okay, yeah. Hi, sir.
yes, sir, please.
Yeah, Jar sir, yeah, really it was very thoughtful and informative presentation. I'm very happy. I have one clarification. Actually, Plato, he has given more important to individual intrinsic value of justice. So when you speak about the intrinsic, is how the individual can strengthen or develop the concept of intrinsic value. Is there any common norms or rules it is there to individual to develop the
Actually,
yes, sir? Yeah.
Plato actually started with the education system. In education system, what all available? For example, the beginners should be given physical training and music. Then gradually to the level or graspable or their way of responding to that level, the training will be given, and that way what's called the way that means the intention is to develop everybody to involve in the dialectical reasoning, so that they can reach to the level or to form themselves to the ideal form. That is actually Platonian intention. But to which level they can reach, accordingly it is given through education.
Yeah, but anyway, if take at present scenario in our society also, there is a different format of education. It is there. So highly educated people also still they are seeing even the caste system or anything comes, the social justice still it exists. So though it come from the intrinsic, so already I have corrupted whatever education I am brought up. It is very difficult to applicable, no.
It's
So what do you think?
actually, I'll say, actually, it is to be debated in another seminar, which we can say as a whether what's called the motive or the consequences in ethics that we are dealing, or the intrinsic value or the extrinsic value. Actually, our education is didn't plan for the person formation and skill formation, or even if it is there in our curriculum, our orientation is towards not character formation as such, but how you can be successful. Actually, when we are training our children, we are training first to be successful, and that we cannot say that Platonian but the one who attains the conviction, one who is traveling through wisdom, I think they would stand for that value they acquire.
Then, whereas we take Plato, actually his master, his teacher, Socrates was condemned by that particular group of people for their intrinsic values. What Socrates doing, it was wrong. Then we cannot condemn that what they have done to Socrates was wrong. No? When it comes to when you think about the intrinsic value of justice.
They condemned him not by their intrinsic. For example, I think we should put the other way. That means Socrates didn't withdraw his position, saying that he is convinced of. He stood for his conviction and died for that conviction. Therefore, he claims that knowledge is a virtue. But on the contrary, the other people who condemned him are manipulators of knowledge. There are the sophists who are actually using word for their gain. And therefore, their judgment, I think, need not bring here. But on the contrary, Socratic life we can bring here as the model.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sir.
Professor Anthony Javier, sir. Sir, you have raised your hand. Have your response, sir. Professor Anthony Javier.
Okay, I'm Ladish Kumar speaking from Italy, participating from Italy.
Yes, sir, please.
Ladies, I would like to
Okay.
see your face.
I'm okay. I'm taking rest. I'm happy to have participated in this meeting. Professor George Joseph was my professor in 90 from 90 to 93 at Arlanadar College for philosophy. And I teach here Catholic religion in the higher secondary schools. So I wanted to share my thought regarding justice. Since in the Old Testament, we read in the book of Zechariah that God does not want justice but mercy, which means we must give importance to love, fraternity, and all. But what is the role of law in the society? While the law safeguards the people for equality and to respect one another, um, God always loves people, even if they sometimes commit murder. So, in the Platonic thought, he analyzes the society in horizontal stratification or vertical stratification. Um, even in the both types, I think in the modern society, as intellectuals, we must always promote fraternity, peace, and love, because to have peace, justice must be practiced. I think Mr. George Joseph can contribute regarding this. My thought also, my approach to justice.
At the outset, I am very much privileged to see my first batch student. I am actually very happy to see Professor Ladis Kumar. And I think this gave an opportunity to meet. It is a privilege, it's a pride for me now. Thank you, Ladis Kumar. Another person I accidentally saw is my own classmate, Mr. Johnny Casey. I am very happy he was here to see him here, because it's after some 40 years or 30. One is after 40 years, another one is after 30 years, coming through some mode. Thank you very much for them. Now we shall enter into the question. First one is actually justice, the incompleteness of justice. Prophets are many times called socialist prophets for their concepts of equality. And when prophet like Zacharias or even Jesus Christ, when they mention that fulfilling, what fulfills justice, what justice is primary, what fulfills justice is love. Without love, he says that justice becomes very crude and very legalistic. And that way, when we are when it is enriched with mercy or love, justice has got a very beautiful appearance. I think that way only I think my answer is. The second one is whether vertical or horizontal stratification, if it is there in society, if classification is there, I think it is not very good. I think that the question looks like that. If that is the question, I think Plato was claiming on a kind of, we can say it is vertical, because he speaks of hierarchical. How it is hierarchical? Because one who is in the top is the one who knows the world of forms. In Christian language, if we place it, one who has experienced God should lead the religion. Similarly, if it is in a Platonic language, if we place one who has experienced the world of forms, he should speak, or he should guide, or he should form the society. And that's why a kind of a vertical classification. And one who has realized forms, if he is guiding the vertical classification, and that way, that classification will not become immoral or cruel. I think that is my answer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now over to Bundaman Mahapatra, sir. Sir, do you have any question? Bundaman, sir. Anybody, if anybody has any question, please share your question with Professor Joseph so that he can clarify.
Hello.
Yes, Kailash sir, please.
Yes. So I need two clarifications. Yes. So I need two clarification from Professor Joseph. Okay. My first okay, clarification, sir. You were discussing the Platonic concept of just person, and you said that the just person is that where the soul is in harmony. And where soul is just, the a just person experiences inner balance, integrity, psychic well-being, and he's a man of wisdom. He's a man of wisdom, and he has commitment for our society. And for a just person, society prevents all kinds of internal conflicts and disharmony, and it transcends the moral confusion. Sir, do you see um, a, a connectivity of Platonic just person with Bhagavad Gita's concept of Sthita Prajna, who is also a equiposed person, equiposed person, and who transcends, who overcomes all kinds of moral confusion? Do you find a connectivity between the Platonic concept of just person and Bhagavad Gita's conception of Sthita Prajna? Sir, it's my first question, sir.
Actually, if I am asked to present another paper, I think it would be a kind of a comparison between Plato and Bhagavad Gita. Or because many areas this is Plato comparison is possible, especially on this, as you have told, the Siddha Prajna. When we speak of Siddha Prajna, naturally we can speak about yoga. And as what's called the Plato's concept of what's called the reason, spirited, and the appetite is exactly looking like the balance within the person in yoga in Bhagavad Gita. And that way, very well comparison is possible with Bhagavad Gita regarding. Plato is the marvelousness of Plato we can understand from his contribution in the sense to the psychology. I think Dr. Arulapan has referred about it. It's a psychology. And that way, split personality. If he is a split personality, that person would be a problem for society. And if we have got our leaders, their mind is not equanimous, I think we have to bear the burden of them. And that way, I think very well comparison is possible.
If I want to have a query on it, I may like to ask Professor Pramod Das, because he has worked on the Bhagavad Gita. Do you find the connectivity between a Platonic concept of just person and Sastha Prajna? Okay, Professor Pramod Das.
Yes. In that way, also, I am concluding the session. The point is, the Veda also says, Manur Bhava, be a man. For all of us, the goal is to be a man. And what is that man? The man with its full version. Its full version. Purna Bhaktittva. That means the complete personality. Not highlighting one aspect of life, one part of life, one dignity, it is not, even when we are talking about society, individual is not the target. We shall not take the individualistic point of view. Very well, Professor Joseph said, anything an individual is doing, that should be the social well-being, that should be the well-being for, that is Lokasangraha in Bhagavad Gita. Your individual task, your individual duty is a social duty. It is for the society, it is not for you, not for your family. Along with that, it is meant for the society. This is Lokasangraha in the Bhagavad Gita. And when we are talking about the total perfection in a human personality, it is only possible when a man has a stable mind. Otherwise not. Who is an abnormal person? Who is abnormal? If any one aspect is defective, you are abnormal. You have plenty of money, you are highly talented, your children are highly educated, you have so many buildings, you have everything. You have fulfilled all your purusarthas. You have artha, kama, and you are also very much righteous. But you are not stable in mind if you are not decisive, if you are not committed, if you do not have courage, if you do not have wisdom, if you do not have temperance, anyone is lacking, you are abnormal. So Arjuna became abnormal in the battlefield because that was the time not to be confused. That was time to fight, to address the situation at a particular moment. So that is the meaning of a rational being. If I claim that I am rational, then I should fit myself in every situation instantly, without any excuse. So when fighting is called for, it is meant for all. You will die or I will die, but we shall fight with a right spirit. So justice is for all, law is for all. We are living according to a form. This ideology should be there in everybody's mindset. We should live according to that. So when there is war, it is war for all. We have to follow the war ethics. But Arjuna was disturbed because Arjuna was abnormal. Arjuna was suffering from his psychic crisis. But Lord Krishna was not baffled. Lord Krishna was not confused because he was very much stable. He had a stable mind. So Tirthapagya, that is the mind of equanimity, that is the man of wisdom, man of courage, that is the man of temperance, that is the man of ethics. So when we are talking about Plato's view of justice, very beautifully Professor Joseph said that it is a moral imperative. It is a moral imperative. It is an intrinsic value. It is inbuilt. It is not for any external showcase. It is not an external something. It is not something external. So freedom, your personal freedom, your individual freedom should not destroy a society. So when Karl Marx is talking about the economic standpoint, economic equality is also there, but that is not the whole being. Hegel was hinting upon the rational ability of a man. That is not the whole thing. So when we philosophers are talking about human personality, we should have a holistic view. We should speak about the complete perfection of a being. That is the real purpose of education. That education can bring transformation in your total personality. You will grow you will grow day by day, and you will transform to the best perfection, the best possible perfection. So if there is a form, then we are all equally responsible to respect that form. That is the point. No Brahmin is excused, no Sudra is excused, no higher class is excused, no lower class is excused. But now what is happening? We are living in a pseudo democratic country. We are living the same pseudo democratic policy. It is a democracy only by name only. By principle, as Professor Joseph said, that power is accumulated with a few hands. Economic is the wealth has been accumulated with a few hands. But we don't have any rights because they are right in their own way. So that is the point. So whether we are living our life with formalism, very casual principles of our democracy, casual principles regarding justice, or whether our character is like that. Manurbhava, be a man, be a real man, be a man of wisdom, be a man of compassion, be a man of morality, be a man of justice. There is no testimony, there is no evidence for that. Nobody will give you any certificate. You become that. So our Indian tradition says knowing is becoming. If you know, you become. Brahmavit Brahmeva Bhavati. That is our tradition. So somehow or other we can relate Platonic philosophy with Indian philosophy in this way. Because there is social welfare, that is Lokasangraha in Bhagavad Gita. So every man should have, we should respect the form, And it is possible when man has a stable mind. That is Titaprajna, that is in the Bhagavad Gita, and we have to know, we have to become what we know. Knowing is becoming. So that is also that is a beautiful comparison between Plato and Indian tradition. So I think we should be moral within. We should follow justice within. We should have all, we should inculcate all values within. If I become a man, I can help another man to become a man. I can guide my child, I can guide my student, I can be a very good citizen of the society. Otherwise, we all will become selfish citizens. I have this much, this is mine. You have that much. So how Karl Marx is justified? Karl Marx failed. If we take the present scenario into the account, the philosophy of Karl Marx failed because one-sided or thinking about only one aspect of human life is not sufficient. We should suppose we are no, the mother is nurturing the child or we are parenting the child. We are not only interested only for the education. We are taking the care of the total being of the child, his emotional being, his intellectual being, his social being. We are taking the care of the all aspects of the child. So that should be the education. That should be the nature of philosophy. So this is my submission.
Okay, Dr. Das. Okay, Dr. Das. I need another clarification for you from Professor Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Many speakers okay tell that Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan has fulfilled Platonic concept of philosopher king when Dr. S. Radhakrishnan became the president of India. And do you think, okay, well, I'm asking to Professor Joseph, sir, do you think that Dr. or Dr. Radhakrishnan's has Dr. Radhakrishnan really proved it in his presidency in the biggest democratic country like India? And it is really possible to execute the Platonic concept of philosopher king, a philosopher ruler, that is in Indian context, sir.
Sir, I am not very familiar with his political contributions, and therefore I may not be able to answer. But certain people have mentioned when talking about him that he is a well-balanced person, influenced the that time the executive in many ways, and I am not a competent person to comment about your observations.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, anybody else? If anybody has any question, can ask. Okay, now we shall end here. So I request Dr. Mahana to give vote of thanks.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Das, for giving me the opportunity. Today, I would like to extend my gratitude to Professor Joseph, sir, for his brilliant presentation on the topic, on the scheduled topic, that today his talk has motivated and has strengthened the dimension of thought in many ways. He has unfolded many areas of Platonic concept of justice that we do not know. So today, on behalf of Philosophy family, I propose a hearty vote of thanks to Professor Joseph, and I must extend my gratitude to Srinivasan sir for connecting Professor Joseph in Philosophy family, and Srinivasan sir has introduced many dynamic philosophers of our country with philosophy family. So with Professor Joseph, I must extend my gratitude to Professor um, Srinivasan sir for his connectivity with the stalwarts of philosophers or philosophy teachers with philosophy family, so that we can have the opportunity of interacting with him. So on behalf of philosophy family, I extend my gratitude to Professor Joseph for his brilliant talk, brilliant presentation, brilliant interaction with our teachers, with the learned participants. And I must extend my gratitude to uh, Professor Srinivasan, Professor Apan Ramanujan, Professor Atlas Alexander, and Professor Ladies Kovar from Italy for their query and for their observation. And I like the responses made by Professor Joseph, that is on every aspect that he has gone in his paper. And I must extend my thanks to Shravani Madam for his connectivity, and with all the learned participants, with Madam Sonnolata, with the philosophy family. Today, I extend my gratitude to Professor Pramod Kumar Das, that is who has made a beautiful connectivity with the speaker and all other viewers of today's um, webinar. So, on behalf of Philosophy family, I extend my gratitude, not thanks, gratitude to all the viewers, those have been connected with Philosophy family, and I must extend my gratitude to them that is for being a part of Philosophy family. Thanks so much. Wishing a happy, wishing a happy good night. I extend my um, gratitude to Professor Pramod Kumar Das, also the real architect of Philosophy family, and he has given us a beautiful topic through Professor Joseph. Thanks so much. Gratitude to everybody. Thanks to everybody. Over to Professor Pramod Kumar Das for concluding remarks.
I shall speak only one thing about Professor Joseph, that the way he presented his paper, the way he responded the questions of the participants, that was very genuine. That was very genuine, very committed, and that should be the attitude of a speaker, and very clear presentation. We are really grateful to sir, and if you have any other topic, you come, you prepare, and we shall create the slot for you in future.
Sir, please share this article to Philosophy family so
Yes,
that
yes,
it will be published very
yes.
soon.
We are going to publish our fourth volume recently, so you can contribute to this paper to our.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
I thank all the participants and who have from the beginning till the end remained with me. I thank all of them from my bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I thank also the organizers, Dr. Pramod Kumar Das and Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
With this session is declared closed. Thank you. Grateful to all of you. Thank you.